My dad had to get his sisters married. There were four brothers and two sisters needed to get married. So the other brothers were not financially very well off. My dad was just getting into sorting out the loans and all that. But at that moment, to get his sisters married, he had to sell that house in the chawl. And from there, I went to a place which is very famous, which is very infamous rather. And that place is called Malwani. I don't know how many of you all have heard about Malwani. But Malwani in Mumbai is known as a Tadipar area. And a Tadipar area means a criminal in those days, when he was externed from the city, he used to be sent to a place called Malwani. So it was an area of goons. I consider it as the safest place on planet Earth. But it was a Tadipar area. My mother, she was also a social worker along with being a teacher. And she used to work with a very prominent lady called Mrinal Gore. I'm sure everybody must have heard about Mrinal Gore, the Paniwali Bai. So my mother was a very strong activist and a follower of Mrinal Gore. And because of her, my mother could buy a house which costed her 180 rupees for a 160 square feet housing board house. And those days were housing board days in Bombay, not Mahara. Mahara became in later on. And that housing board house was a 160 square feet tenement with 4 walls and nothing else. There used to be a common toilet for 16 houses and for 8 houses and a common tap for 16 houses. So when I was in my 6th standard, that was the first jolt that I got. That suddenly one fine day, I lose my house where we had 4 rooms and a toilet inside with the water connection. And in the month of May, one fine day my parents just packed everything, they put it in a tempo and we caught a rickshaw and we came to a place called Malwani, from Goregaon West to Malwani. It's a distance of almost 13 to 14 kilometers, but in my life it was a life change, complete life change. When that happened, that year was the most traumatic year of my life. And in the 6th standard, I flunked my school. I could not concentrate on my education because from what I saw in my childhood to what I had come to was a very dramatic story. What Bombay saw as 2611, I saw that 18 years of my life. Every rainy season, the hair on my body is stiffened because I remember my childhood. And in every rainy season, I used to have on an average 2.5 to 3 feet of water in the house. So we were 3 brothers. I've got 2 younger brothers to me. And when we used to sleep on the floors, I have so many times got up from my sleep because there used to be water all around us. And to save from that, one fine day my parents bought a second-hand dining table, and that for 300 rupees. It was an oval-shaped dining table, and I can remember innumerable nights where we three brothers have cuddled and sat on the dining table whole night because there is water on the ground. So 2611, ironically today I live in a house which is on the ground floor. It's a row house, and the whole city of Mumbai was drowned literally on 2611, but not a centimeter of water came to my house, which was surprising. But I have seen it 18 years of my life. And it's a filmy story when you literally see 8 houses with an average of 5 people per family using 4 toilet blocks. So what is a common toilet? What is a common tap? And I have seen my parents for endless number of years. My dad used to get up in the morning at 8 o'clock and he used to go to fill water with my mother to the tap at 4 o'clock in the morning. Because 4 o'clock the water used to come, and if you are late, then the tap fight that you see in the movies, everybody has seen that, it is a reality, it happens. So to avoid that, they used to get up in the morning at 4 o'clock and fill up water. I have seen them drenched in the rains during the monsoons, drenched to the skin, and still they would fill water, and never in their lifetime they even had a cold or a cough or a fever. So those were the days. It was very interesting, and I flunked 6th standard, and in 7th standard I came to my senses and I said that either I change the situation or the situation is going to change me permanently. I wanted to change whatever was around me. The place where I was living, it was like a slum. Within 500 meters of where I stayed, I was staying in a corner room of that chawl. Within 500 meters of my room, of my house, every possible negative activity used to be happening there. There used to be a liquor den, there used to be a gambling den, there used to be a matka den, there used to be a lady who used to stay across my room, that was also the corner of the chawl opposite mine, where I used to never understand what this lady does and what her family does for a living, because all the time they are at home, only in the evening the lady used to go out. When I came to my 10th standard and 11th standard and when sense prevailed, I realized that she was a commercial worker. In 500 meters, every negative thing on planet Earth was available. There were gangsters also living in that area who used to do a killing job in the city and come and hide in Malvani. But let me tell you, those 18 years were the best years of my life. I learned a lot. Most of all, I learned human psychology. In my 8th standard, I started working in a bindi factory because I realized that I need not be dependent on my parents who are really struggling to make 2 ends meet. And in this bindi factory, I started earning around 3.5 rupees a week, which was too much of a money at that age and in the condition that I was living. So 3.5 rupees I used to make per week by working around 3 to 4 hours. In the bindi factory, I used to put the designs of those bindis on those packets. The ladies, when they buy the bindis, those bindis come in packets which are with different designs. So I used to put up those designs. In my 10th standard, I started teaching English to a very successful businessman by the name of Manmohan Gupta, M.M. Mithaiwala. He is one of the most prominent Mithaiwalas in the suburbs of Bombay. So I started giving him English tuitions. In the 11th standard, I started giving tuitions to the 10th standard. In the 12th standard, I started giving tuitions to the 11th standard. And from the 13th standard onwards, from my FY BCom, I started going door to door, selling clothes, cosmetics, perfumes, Venky's chicken, Payal chappals. Goa had a very popular brand of chappals called Payal chappals. Have anybody heard about Payal chappals? They were very durable chappals, better than Bata, made in Goa. So we used to buy it from Goa and I used to sell it in Malad area. Ironically, the place where I live today, I have sold a lot of material in my school days and college days in that particular area. So by selling all these things, I made my living. I funded my own education. When I funded my own education, it was a wonderful experience after college hours. Degree college was in the morning, so afternoon onwards I used to visit places, societies. I used to be turned out of societies. There used to be some houses which used to open their doors, offer me tea, coffee, have a discussion with me. There used to be some doors which were banged on my face. But all this experience was brilliant. There could not have been a better MBA program than those years of my life when I was going door to door and interacting with people. And I got into a lot of marketing, I got into a lot of networking. Networking, marketing, sales, all these are jargons which I understood after my graduation was done. But unknowingly, this is what I was doing all my college days. During my graduation years, I realized that this is good for generating revenue for survival, but what for a career? So in my graduation, when I was in my final year, that was 1993, before that, around 1992, I started going to my dad's friend's office to learn computers. He used to work in a company called Lupin Pharmaceuticals and he was the EDP manager there. At that factory, because I could not afford to join an Aptech or an NIT. It used to cost around 10 to 12,000 rupees for a basic course and I could not afford that because my dad's salary was 3,000 and I was making around 2 to 3,000 a month, which was good enough for my own education and other activities. So I decided to go to my father's friend's office who used to give me a book and a computer to study, and that is where I learned my DOS, WordStar, Lotus and Foxbase. It was DBase those days. That's how I got introduced to IT. During my college days, there were some very interesting examples which really taught me something interesting in life. When I used to sell clothes, I used to also sell it to the good people and the bad people. Now good and bad is defined by the society around them, but the bad people are most of the times the good people, better good than the good people. So I used to give a lot of clothes to the club owners. So there used to be a goon in that area who used to run a club. His name was Arif Bhai. And this Arif Bhai used to run a gambling den and he used to be one of my good customers. And I used to